got 7 new councillors here, and they might think that suddenly given something completely new. There's nothing new in here to the information we've got. It's just been put together this late stage with what went through this morning. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's in your long-term council community plan.
I do appreciate that there is 7 new councillors in here, and they might want a little bit more time, but it's not, it's all information that we've been given over the last month or so.
Anything further, please? Councillor Henderson, then Councillor Minchin.
I agree with both Nicola and Mike in a way, but my understanding is, as Mike's saying, that we've had a lot of this information before, but I would also say that particularly given a number of us are new, and I recognise the staff constraints and that sort of thing that we've gone through, it would be better to get some of this stuff earlier than we perhaps have been at times, so that sort of situation can be avoided. So, but based on that, I'm quite happy for it to go forward, because it's going to go out for consultation, and having had a quick look at it, I think it does reflect mostly stuff I've seen before. But yeah, I think there should be more time to look at these documents.
It was just an example of, you've got words, and in the rugby it doesn't mention the fan zones, but we allowed all that money to go because of the fan zones. But then in the press release it just says hospitality, marketing, etc. doesn't mention fan zones, and that was the whole basis behind the up and then out.
Oh, you can make changes to this if you wish.
Yeah, just like I say, we've had a chance to skimming through, and you just pick things out. So.
Well, Council proposed you could 180,000 in the annual plan for the Rugby World Cup.
In relation to the wording,
Funding would be used for promotion and public relations, team hospitality, national and international marketing, venue and visitor preparation, and safety and infrastructure. Taupo is ideally located for travellers who can base themselves here during the Rugby World Cup 2008. Provides an opportunity to highlight what a great place Taupo is and encourage return visitors. You want that extrapolated out to say something about fan zones?
Well, as an example, that was the whole what we debated long and hard many times. But as we say, we need to read through these things.
We can. I mean, this.
As amended.
And
Is it a problem to add fan zones into here?
it certainly isn't a problem. We can add fan zones in there. I guess the discussion that we've written up here was very much around the fact that you decided that you would, rather than actually specifying what the money would be applied to, that you wanted to make sure that there was a certain amount of money available. You were discussing about the fact that you wouldn't necessarily be spending all of it, but depending on how the needs panned out, because there was
Mr. Chairman, can I just speak on that, because it has been debated quite a bit, and the fan zones and the closure of the streets seems to be come up, and I think made it quite clear that for an event that's happened once in every 30 years, it's $180,000 that we're asking for to put on a Rugby World Cup show for the Taupo District, all the visitors in New Zealand. That's what it comes down to. I don't think we should be hooked up on the detail, whether it's gets spent, at street closures or on other fixtures or events.
Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah, it can be changed if you want it, but it's probably. You happy, Councillor Mincher?
Yeah, it's just the wording. It's just.
Okay. Anything further, Councillor Hickley?
Yeah, I would support the adoption. It is only the draft annual plan. We have got the opportunity to change some of these things. I've just noticed one little concern, that under community grants, we've got council proposes to maintain its service contracts with, and we no longer have a service contract with the Botanical Gardens. That finished probably 2 years ago. So could we just
say there that we do that?
Yeah.
I'll double check that.
Yeah, we don't.
Councillor Hickling's on a committee, isn't he?
Re-sign it.
Well, we're certainly not.
Okay.
Depends what we call a service contract.
Okay, well, could we check that, please? That's fine. That's good. And I think, just to give you a little bit of a comfort, Councillor Williams, that when we do the annual plan process, I think we had something like, would it be 5 days of submissions last time? 4 days?
Well, it'd certainly be 3 or 4 days, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where people will come in, submit, you will go through it line by line by line. You're only adopting a draft here, so even if it had something incorrect in it, You're not adopting it fait accompli. It's not the final chapter in the book. There's still a long way to go before it becomes a line in the sand, and a lot of opportunity to change in that process. Would that be fair to say, Councillor Hickman?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Councillor Nick? You're not a councillor, thank you.
Mayor Rick, the other issue that we've had this year is that normally we do a plan completely bottom up. This year we've had to do it top down because our organisational structure has changed. Even now we have not fine-tuned the cost of service statements because we haven't realigned the new structure through the general ledger, chart of accounts, etc., to actually reflect what our overheads are. So we've really done this at a pretty high level, as accurate as we can, but we will probably, before the final annual plan's adopted, need to rejig some of the cost of service service statements to reflect the new organisational structure.
From what we discussed this morning, I think we have to have some confidence in the staff, and as this is only a draft, I'm happy to adopt it. Otherwise, we will continue to get into the detail when we're not actually, it was set the previous council. So I'm happy to go forward with this document.
This is what goes out to the public.
That's right.
Do we fill in the X's?
Get into that.
I would just leave that blank.
I support the adoption. I don't think we really need to go to another SPO to cover the ground. We've had this before. The information's still there, still available to be changed in the submission process. So I'd be quite happy to move resolutions part 2 and 3.
I'll accept you as a mover. Has everybody suggested resolution got this change on it in number 3? That the draft 2010/11 be changed to 11/12?
Yeah.
I'm just being a bit pedantic, but I think it's quite... So number 3, suggested resolution, the last number 3, that the draft 2010 change that please to 11/12.
Yep.
Financial year. So, and I'll take Councillor Kepper as the mover. And can I have a second to somebody, please? Councillor Hickling. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Carried to be adopted. Okay, thank you very much. Moving now to item number 16 is just the governance statement. Ms McLeod, do you want to address us on this one?
Oh.
It's really...
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Mayor Rick,
hang on, we didn't put the X's. We didn't put in Mr Minchin's X's.
Excuse me, as far as that resolution is concerned, you might like to just adopt items 2 and 3 and leave out item 1.
Yeah, that's what we did. Well, that's what I moved.
That's what we did.
We have. Thank you.
That's going into the... Okay, right. So that was number 2 and 3. And only repeating ourselves, but DLT will be received in the annual plan process. Submissions, my apologies. So going to the governance statement now, Ms McLeod, it's really, well, for the lot of us here, do you want to more take it as read? It's really a signature reinforcing what we are to do and not to do.
Yeah, this is simply a legislative requirement. You are required by the 31st of March to have a governance statement in place. I've set out in the agenda item the types of things that your local government statement needs to cover. Unfortunately, it is like with a lot of these documents that get set by legislation, they probably aren't that helpful for the public, but they are a requirement that you must fulfil.
And you'll see, just if you read through it, it just tells you things like your code of conduct, the role of your mayor, role of councillors. You'll see there's a page here on our committee structures that we've worked our way through since the election, which are quite different from other trienniums. Standing orders and consultation, working with iwi, etc., and our bylaws on the last page. So does anybody want to comment on it? It's really an as-read item or a mechanical item, for want of a better word, but I'm quite happy to open it up for discussion. Denny. We'll go back to the resolution, which is the draft local governance statement, your governance statement, as presented and amended. Is there an amendment in here? There is no amendments, is there? So we'll just as presented, so cross out and amended, be approved for publication. Do I have a mover? Move, Councillor Downard, seconder. Cooper, all in favour? Right, carried, thank you very much. Okay, this is the, you've got your item 17, which is your CCO accountability documents. That's about receiving these. Alan, Mr. Van Hennett, I'm sorry, apologies. Would you like to comment on this?
This is just really a procedural item that we're required to formally receive these particular statements of intent and half-yearly reports.
I note on page 2 the last report to shareholders. As you probably know, Mr. Williams, your CEO, is our director on that LAS, which is Local Authority Shared Services. So we join in with all the things around the Bay of Plenty, and just to give you an example, around about a year or 18 months ago, we all joined together and got our insurances done in bulk across all those councils, and there was a $1 million saving. So we have this Local Authority Shared Services, which Mr. Williams is on with the other CEOs around, and anything that we can buy or use together and what have you, that's what that's all about, to save the council. So, has there been any other examples? That was a good example, Mr. Williams.
Just to clarify, BOPLAS is the Bay of Plenty Local Authority Shared Services Company. The LAS is the Waikato version. The LAS Waikato version has been very much a reactive body as opposed to the BOPLAS, which has been a fairly proactive body. In the LAS region now, i.e. the Waikato region, there is talk about becoming a little bit more proactive in terms of the shared services, which requires a little bit more of an investment. From my perspective as a director and also as a chief executive, it's pretty much a research and development hub for us. It allows us to invest in little investigations to find out where we can save money. We have the option of being involved with the Waikato because we're in the Waikato, but also with the BOPLAS because a part of our district is within Bay of Plenty, so we can actually have a foot in both camps and take advantage where we can. I would say the savings that we've achieved from BOPLAS have not been as significant as other local authorities in the Bay of Plenty, but that's actually testament to the fact that we've operated relatively efficiently in past years anyway. So we're making savings through the process, not mammoth savings, but it's interesting to see now that the Waikato councils have seen the success of BOPLAS and want to become far more proactive in terms of what they're doing. So that will be a watch that space as time goes on.
Councillor Downer?
I see you were represented by BOPLAS, Peter from Rotorua. Does that affect, our capability as not having our own representative on?
That's previously in the Waikato LAS. Peter Guerin acted as our man in town. The new proposal for the more proactive LAS organisation in the Waikato is for me to be there as a director as well. So every shareholder has their chief executive as their director.
I must say it's a bit of a difficult position for Taupo to be in because BOPLAS, Bay of Plenty Local Authority, authorities, whatever, and in the Waikato one we always find it easier to work with our Bay of Plenty councils because they normally always meet in Rotorua. Very quick for us to get there and back. They pick the middle, whereas Waikato is very, very parochial. They meet in Hamilton, end of story. So, and we just seem to have more synergies through the Bay of Plenty with our tourism, our visitor industry. And yes, we are entitled to be in there because a very small part of our district is in the Bay of Plenty region. But those synergies with the airport and visit industry just seem to be easier for us to work with. So that's why sometimes you might be confused. We talk about working with the Bay of Plenty local authorities and sometimes the Waikato local authorities. So that's really just the accountability documents, and you've got them here. You're more than welcome to read, question, or at this time, or even at a later date. Otherwise, there is and of course that includes our Taupo Airport Authority, which I must say I think is trundling along very, very well at the moment, particularly when you look at where we've come from 4 or 5 years ago. and as I said before, it's very pleasing that our numbers I don't think it's for some reason, I think that Taupo is really doing a great job in this economic environment of attracting people here, 30% up in our numbers. So there's a suggested resolution there, 1 and 2. So if there's any further talk, that's fine. If not, I ask for a mover. Councillor Williams, seconded Councillor Downard. All those in favour? Thank you.